What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video, I just wanted to give some clarification to the video I made this week about easy DPS being often better than trying to be optimal but not hitting your optimal damage rotations because they're a little more out of your league or just easier to mess up than something simple. I think some of my message got lost in translation, so maybe I didn't do a good enough job of explaining what I meant. So in this video, I just kind of want to clarify that. So in the background gameplay, you'll see me and my two clanmates, we're running Grand Overtures, and this run probably could get a 4-plate on this Ogre boss, which is not the easiest thing to do, by the way. I mean, for speedrunners and stuff, it is. But again, the whole point I was trying to make with my video is that easy DPS can still be very effective. But some people took what I said as me advocating for lazy DPS, and that is 100% not what I'm about. If you ask the clanmates of mine or people that play with me, they'll know I like to be optimal. But again, I'm not doing crazy damage rotations, but I do just want to get the most out of whatever thing I am using. So when I talked about Cry Mutiny, I'll talk about why it's so good for Warlord's Ruin, but where it would really falter on some other bosses. And in the background gameplay, you're going to be seeing Grand Overture, which I'm not even the biggest fan of that gun, but I can't deny its effectiveness. It's got great ammo reserves. As you can see, I've already loaded some missiles, and I have 59 shots still left. So Grand Overture is one of those things that I would argue it's definitely better than Thunderlord, because it's even easier to use. But I do just want to kind of talk about our damage rotation. So here, all you have to really do, so I'm waiting to pick up this orb because it's going to give me 2 armor charges. I have 1 time dilation, so I want to pick that up as close to starting DPS as possible. And then I only have 10 missiles loaded. So right there, that's not optimal. This boss is immune until you reach damage phase. I could have just shot him 10 times to get 20 missiles loaded, and I would have done way more damage. But as you can see, I popped Transcendence, and then I throw my melee, which applies a weaken and gives me Radiant. And then there, I throw my Duskfield Grenade, so that's going to make my Celestial Golden Gun deal more damage. So these little things are easy to do, but they took some pre-setup and like thinking with my build. So here, we can see I actually missed my melee, the reason, so that boss backed up, which pissed me off. So now we don't have a weaken here, and I don't have Radiant. So that ate up a ton of my DPS. And again, you can see I'm not even using Grand Overture fully optimally. I'm just kind of like here, I should be reloading because I know we're going to the next plate. And now I start reloading, which is too late. So I made a lot of mistakes on this DPS phase, and look at how much damage we did. With some optimization and me not missing, like if I had 20 missiles loaded off the start, and if I had hit my weaken melee, and if I dodged here to get another Radiant, because I have Gambler's Dodge, so I would have got my melee back. I could have applied a weaken and got Radiant before I shot my volley of missiles. And if my teammates were a little more optimal, we easily could have actually got a 1 phase on this. But again, this was our first time running this. We were just doing it for the clear this week. No like pre-thought went into this. We literally just kind of got to the boss and we're like, hey, let's try Grand Overtures. Because I had ran this I think on Tuesday with my clanmates TJ and Steam, and TJ was using Thunderlord and I was using an auto-loading lasting impression hothead with Cloud Strike. And that's very good, right? And when we get to the final boss, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place here. I just want to back up. So when we talk about getting to DPS, look at how freaking easy it is for me to take out this Scorn guy that spawns the totem. So we shoot our eyes, he spawns, so I throw my weaken nade, I have Radiant and a weaken. So look how few shots it takes to get him down. So I have him 1 shot, as soon as he spawns the totem, boom. So again, this is the thing that you have to think about. It's not all about how can I do the most damage at damage phase. You also have to think of what loadout will allow me to get to damage phase easily. I could have, let's see, like an arc sniper on with firing line that would allow me to have more DPS, but I'm using a Nation of Beasts with Dragonfly and Volt Shot, which is absolutely awesome for taking out the ads leading up to damage phase. Then I've got a Mountaintop, which I'm missing my shots there, but you can see it's really good for taking out the Minotaurs. It's really good on those scorn bosses that come in. So again, my loadout is well-rounded. It's not just DPS focused. I also have neutral game. So Nation of Beasts, I just love this. Again, we're just doing this for fun. This is not a speed run, whatever, but this was a 34-minute dungeon, and I'll show that at the end. And you can see my damage numbers and whatever else. And the guy didn't spawn the totem over there. So yeah, is it nice if we would have skipped all this running up to damage and whatever because this scorn guy didn't spawn his totem when he was supposed to? So we only got 3 out of 4. Yeah, sure. But is it also realistic to consistently get 1 phases on this boss with LFG? No, you're probably shooting for a 2 phase. I would say for the vast majority of the player base, a 2 phase on this guy is what you're going for. So you have 8 bells to do that. My threshold is 6 bells. If we get it in 6 bells, that's like average, that's normal. Anything less is nice. Anything more, it's like, okay, our DPS wasn't on point. So this week, I should mention this is Arc and Stasis Surge this week. That's why we went with Grand Overture. And that's also why I kind of like Surges. I see both sides to it. I see why people don't like it. But for me, I'm never running Grand Overture with my buds. We're probably just sticking to Still Hunt and like Celestial all the time. But because of Arc Surge, we're going to run this. And then again, we keep a few ads up so that we can, I have Arc Siphon on my helmet. So I take those guys out. So the biggest thing to realize is you want to go into damage phase with full stacks of Weapon Surge. So I will get into that in a minute. So as I was saying, having like the most optimal DPS loadout doesn't always matter. There, look at that Dragonfly. It takes out like everything in 2 shots. Now I have Volt Shot, just do a body shot. I have Arc Siphon on, so it's an easy way to make Arc Orbs. So you have to think about your setup too. How am I going to make orbs right before damage? Well, Grand Overture with Arc Siphon is extremely easy for that because it can just take out enemies. So here you can see I'm loading some missiles by shooting the immune boss. Look, I have 9, 10, and then I'm going to use it on the Scorn Totem guys as well. But again, look at how easy it is just getting to damage phase with this loadout because it's got good neutral game. It's not just DPS focused. It's not, I mean, you could run Forbearance, Izanagi, and like a good Arc rocket launcher if you wanted. But again, look at how easily I just took out that totem guy. So now with this loadout, it's pretty much a guaranteed way to get 4 totems every time because you have lots of time. Look, our Hex of Vengeful Corruption, I still got 5 seconds. Our totems are capped. We have 10 seconds on Imminent Wish. We can take out our stuff and do this pre-setup, which is very important. Now, my buddies made some orbs, so I'm just going around, I'm picking up orbs. And now I forgot to swap to Duskfield Grenade, so my Celestial is actually going to do a little less damage because I have Facet of Command on. So I could have done 10% more on my Goldie, but I had forgot to switch to Duskfield off Grapple because I use Grapple for the transition parts, and I just really like Grapple. And then, Bungie, look on the left of my screen. I can't see the timer. That timer should be under my health bar. Bungie has said that they're putting like critical information to go under your health bar. Well, why is that timer not under the health bar? That's really been pissing me off this season, as you can hear in my voice. But yeah, so that's why I'd switched to Mountaintop because I didn't know how much time I had on the damage phase. And I'm a solo player, so I'm usually used to a quicker damage phase there because I usually only cap 2 totems when I'm solo. But running with a fire team, you get 4, and I don't intrinsically know how long that timer is. But again, that's another thing that's important for damage phases and raids and stuff, is to know how much time you have. So that, say you were running a Fallen Guillotine, you can do a whole bunch of light attacks, but then at the very end, you can finish with a heavy attack right before damage ends, just to squeeze out a little more damage. So you can still be optimal while having easy to use DPS strats. And that's why I'm making this video, to show like, look at how easy our damage strategy is. And we get a 3 floor on Heffend, and we got a 5 bell or whatever you want to call those things on the Ogre boss. So again, that's because we match Surge, and then look, when damage starts, I'm throwing a Weaken out. That's giving me Radiant. Those are optimal things, but they're easy to do. So I'm not saying don't think about your build whatsoever and just only point and click Thunderlord and don't have Arc Surges and use Thunderlord when it's Solar Surge week. Don't do that shit. I am not advocating for that whatsoever. I'm advocating for, you don't need a perfectly optimized loadout for only damage and it's only good for damage to like get a to get a 1 phase you would need to like a 1 floor on this boss, but a 3 floor is nothing to scoff at on these Warlord's Ruin bosses. Basically, as long as you can get him by these top floors, which we actually do have to go to the top floor because again, we messed up a bit in our lead up to DPS. My buddy Baker dies and we don't get a totem, and I was also kind of holding back on damage a bit because I was expecting us to go to final stand, and that's where I would like to cook them. So yeah, but again, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. What's another couple minutes in your run? So there, I throw my weaken grenade and I get radiant. So again, that's saving me ammo. So I'm still being optimal, but it's easy optimization. And that's more what I was trying to talk about, was do things that are consistent and simple. So there, I just get out. I get lucky that the boss doesn't shoot at me. I use my dodge. So unfortunately, I was too far away from those Scorn guys. So now I don't have a melee. So now we don't have a weaken, and then Baker dies. So these are things that can happen. Like now we don't have this totem. I'm stuck getting a revive when damage starts. Again, not optimal. Normally I would have thrown a melee out, but luckily my buddy had the weaken grenade. And yeah, so we're still putting out decent damage, but again, we don't have the timer and you can't see the timer on the left. So that's why we didn't push there basically. But again, does it really matter? No. So now we're gonna kill these scions to make orbs so that we're good. I've got radiant orbs on, so I'm radiant. So we come up here and we're just gonna do a little bit of damage. Again, I'm just holding back. I'm not even doing the reload mountaintop, like I'm shooting my mountaintop really slow because he just needed to push. And then we throw that and do that. And easy bake. I didn't even have my missiles loaded in time and we cooked them. So here we see the final damage numbers, and yeah, I could have ran Gathering Storm with Star Eaters because to match Surge, that's probably actually going to do more damage than my Goldie. I'm not sure, I haven't crunched the numbers on that. But again, one of the reasons Golden Gun is so good is its ease of use. And my build, that's just kind of the prismatic build I've been running, and I wanted to have some fun. You gotta remember, you wanna have fun in this game too, and if I just wanna run Goldie and kind of shut my brain off and just get more familiar with that build, then I'm going to do that rather than being hyper optimized and go to dim, bust out my Star Eater build, make the build, whatever. I just had Golden Gun on. We wanted to run a quick Warlord's Ruin. And like I said, that was 34 minutes and we weren't even really pushing at all. Like we got our secret chests, like whatever. So the point I'm trying to make is you can still do optimization. So we were matching surges because it was arc and stasis, so we just thought, okay, let's try grand overtures for this run. We used Legend of Acreus on the first boss, which I didn't show. It's very good. And then like I said, every time I kind of had it up, I was throwing my weaken melee, which gives my teammates a 15% debuff and it gives me radiant. And then like I said, I was making orbs on all the plates on the ogre boss so that I could get radiant orbs, I could get my arc surge, I had time dilation on. So like I said, the reason I'm making this video is I didn't want to get it misconstrued in my last video that I'm saying everyone should just run machine gun for DPS. That's fucking bullshit. I would kick you too if you're trying to run. I mean, I know Grand Overture is a machine gun. I'm talking like a legendary machine gun. I know the Target Lock Void machine gun, whose name I can't remember. It had its time in the sun, but that was with Gerfalcons only, and that was because Volatile was bugged. And don't expect to get amazing damage with a legendary machine gun. You should be using something, like I said, GLs are really good. They've got, I said I would talk about Cry Mutiny and why it's good on the final boss. It's because it's got deep ammo reserves and Vorpal Weapon is a consistent damage bonus. You saw my friend Baker die going into third phase. If he had Explosive Light on or something, he's gonna lose that damage. Obviously Bait and Switch is very good, but I just wanna do a little math for you. So Bait and Switch is a 30% damage bonus, and you can get that on Edge Transit. Edge Transit is a Void grenade launcher. If Void is not the surge, you're losing out on 25% damage. 25% damage is given to Cry Mutiny on Solar Surge weeks, and then Vorpal Weapon is a 10% damage bonus, so you're getting 25% times 10%, which I believe is 37.5%. I get this in my comments all the time too. In Destiny, the buffs are multiplicative, not additive, so you multiply, so it's 1.25 times 1.1, and that's what your damage bonus is. So even though bait and switch is a 30% damage bonus, 37.5 is what you're getting with a 10% from Vorpal and the 25% from the Surge. So like I said, I just wanted to make that video to talk about, I'm not advocating for lazy DPS or not thinking about your build or this and that. And if someone does know better and they're just like, no, trust me guys, like this is an easy thing for a new player to use and it matches the Surge, then by all means. But if someone's just rolling in there with like a 7th Seraph Saw with auto loading and Vorpal weapon and they're trying to do DPS with that, no, there's better options. And unless they're like a very, very new player, I guarantee that they'll have a better option. So yeah, more what I was trying to say was consistency is great versus something like an Izanagi Apex Predator rotation on something like the Ghost of the Deep final boss. Yes, it can cook the final boss, but that boss moves a lot, right? So if you're missing your rockets and you're missing your Izzy shots, your damage is going to go nowhere. Where if you use something like Leviathan's Breath, or hell, even Grand Overture, as you saw, depending on the Surge, it's a lot more consistent. Even Sleeper Simulant I advocate for in my solo dungeon guide. So yeah, there's a reason why, and like I said, especially in solo dungeons, it's more important to consistently get to damage phases without dying, because if you're going for a solo flawless, you just waste an hour dying. So if you have to do one extra damage phase, but you're getting good consistent damage and you're not dying in between, that's way more important. So yeah, on the final boss that goes to the deep, if you're consistently getting a 4 phase, but if you had to run a loadout that is way less optimized between damage phases, but has potential to hit 3 phases, then yeah, I just think it's better to go for the 4 phase and consistently stay alive. So anyways, I'm rambling. I just wanted to say that and make this video. If you're still watching, thanks so much for watching to the end, and I hope you understand what I'm talking about. And yeah, thanks for watching. Take care.